Hello, fellow traders. Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Monday, December the 12th, the year's 2022. Let's talk trading. Trading routine part 6 with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and differ from Walmal's. Walmal, welcome back.
Thank you. I am almost back, I think. As for traders who may not have known, I got very sick last week, and that's why I dropped off the map for a week or so. But everything seems to be coming back and starting to be able to breathe again.
Yeah, breathing's overrated, right? Everybody does it. What's the big deal?
Yep.
So,
we've been talking about a routine, I hear.
Right. So, I think when we left off, or when you left off, there was some more things you wanted to share about routine.
You know, I think what I wanted to go and talk about, if I recall correctly, is that, there are certain things about routine, and there are some benefits to it to having a routine, and it sets you up for good habits. And I think that's very, very important for not just for trading, but just in life in general, but especially for trading. If we're setting ourselves up to, basically enhance our good habits and maybe be able to attack some of our bad habits, it helps us out that way. Because some of the things that definitely come out of routine, you have better time management. And what I mean by that is that, you handle your time better. It's the type of thing where, you've got some structure, you've got some routine in your life. What happens is the things that need to get done, they seem to get done. You may not want to do them because they're sometimes not exactly fun to take care of, but they have to be taken care of. And when you don't take care of those things, well, what happens? They kind of blow up in your face, and something that would have taken you, X amount of time to remedy now all of a sudden takes a, 2X or 3X or 4X or whatever it may take just to go and remedy those things. So that's one of the hugest benefits to having routine about what you do about during your day in terms of, especially during trading, because, it's that thing where you can sit there. If you don't have a routine, for instance, one of the things that I like to do is before I start trading, I like to sit down, go through the charts. I know we talked about this a little bit last time. We go through the charts, see where price has been, not necessarily figure out where price is going as much as where has price been, and just circling those areas on the chart, knowing that, hey, this is an area that, I better pay attention to if it comes back into this area, because it's been what I like to call a problem area. And what I mean by a problem area is a place where, the buyers and the sellers didn't know which way to go and take the market until finally, it finally goes and leaves that area. And leaving that area is where we make money, obviously. But, it's good to have that stuff down. Well, is there going to be news? In fact, I think we talked about this, the last time there was some type of big news event. Maybe it was NFP. I don't recall what it was, but there was some type of big news event that was on the horizon. And if you're not aware of those things, you're in trouble. So routine means going out there and figuring out what's happening today in the market. Is some talking head going to talk out there at a particular time and he tends to go and move the market. For instance, on that in the pound dollar, when Brainerd speaks, guess what? The market moves. I don't care what is said in the speech. Whatever is said, it tends to move the market. So when I see that name pop up on the FOREX factory economic calendar, it's that thing that it doesn't tell me not to trade, but what it does tell me is be wary of trading. So the routine goes and causes us to go and create those structures and putting those things in there. And then I mentioned this a little bit already, but it kind of helps you break bad habits. Because generally speaking, when we're having a bad habit, we're doing the same bad thing over and over and over again. Well, if we can go and set up a routine that goes and helps us go and try to break some of that, makes it more difficult for us to do, then, I think that can help us a little bit in terms of not getting entrenched on those bad habits. So routine can help us with that. And then the biggest thing that I think anyway is that it helps us prioritize things. what's important. And for us as traders, one of the biggest things, what's the most important thing, TRO, in terms of trading, according to me?
Preserve capital.
Exactly. So we can go out there and through routine go and do that. What do I mean by that? If we set up our rules in such a way that we only take a certain amount of loss on any particular one trade, we only go and lose a certain amount for a particular day, we can go and preserve our capital. So we prioritize that. That's the number one thing. That's more important than making money. It's more important to preserve the capital than it is to make the money. Because if you do that, okay, you will make money eventually.
Yeah,
you'll come back.
It sounds like Warren Buffett, isn't it? Don't lose.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that what he said? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I like to go and say minimize loss and minimize loss and capitalize on gain. He said something along those lines. But yeah, don't lose. But or the other one he said that it's probably pretty true for today. What's going on today with a lot of the commodities and out there, and that is that when prices are low, that's when you should be greedy, and when prices are high, that's when you should be nervous. And there's some truth to that. Just build your routines around that. So. And then for me, because I'm a big procrastinator from way back. I procrastinate on everything, and routine, it stops you from procrastinating. And the reason why it stops you from procrastinating is because, for me, routine, I make a things to do list every morning. I got to do X, I got to do Y, I got to do Z. Okay, and I do that with my trading as well. I have goals that I want to go and attain every day. And, if they get attained, that's great. If they don't, well, why didn't they? And that's okay. But the thing is, by having those things written down, having those things in front of your face, it's much harder to go and not do what you need to do. Let's say those type of thing. I'll give you an example. And this is not doing with trading, but just in life. I was working for a corporation, and we had a problem employee, and that employee had exhausted all of the remedies in terms of trying to turn that employee around. Been to HR, I don't know how many times, had gone through all types of retraining and no matter how many times. But the thing was, I really liked this guy. On the surface of everything, he was a good guy. He was a nice guy, very pleasant, easy to get along with, type of thing. That wasn't his problem. It's just that his work quality was terrible. And I just kept on procrastinating. And then what happened was, there's this magic number, in Fortune 500 companies. If the employee is with you for X number of years, unless there's a mass layoff, you can't get rid of them. And because I procrastinated, I didn't do him any good, and I didn't do the company any good, because he wound up having to stay there, and he was never able to go really progress, from that spot. He would have been much better suited to go and work in another environment where he would have excelled. And I didn't give him that opportunity. So that's all on me. That's my fault. That's one of my biggest regrets as a new manager. But if I had at the time written this down, made it part of my routine to go create things to do list, to go and deal with problems like that, and if I saw that every single morning, it would have been like, oh shoot, I got to deal with this. It makes it much harder to go and not deal with the things in front of you. So how does this relate to trading? Well, if you know there are things that you do that are bad habits, okay, and you write them down, and you go on there and you go through it and you see it, and you pay attention to it, what's going to happen is that when you're out there trading, because it's so fresh of mind, to be cautious of those things that you shouldn't be doing, well, I think it becomes a little bit more difficult, at least for me anyway, it becomes a little bit more difficult to not deal with those things that you need to deal with.
Yeah, I understand that. One of the things I had mentioned to the traders was, lately over the past few years, there's been a lot of talk about morning routines of the rich and famous, or of the Stoics, or, the Zen Buddha masters, or whatever. And I also said that, a lot of times you need to take away rather than add to. What do you think about that?
Well, my first comment on all that stuff is very simply this. TRO is different than Walmal, who is different from every other trader that may be listening to this video right now. And so the reality is, what is successful for you and what may be successful for me and what may be successful for another trader may be totally, totally different and may contradict it. Okay? And it really comes down to, you need to go and trade based on what your strengths are, and trade on based on what your weaknesses are, and create a custom way, a custom routine for trading. Now, that's not to say that you don't go and pick up good habits from other people. I mean, let's face it wasn't my idea to come up with a things to do list. It wasn't my idea to go and, come up with a trading plan. Those are great ideas, things that every trader, I think, should do. So those are good things, and you should pick up on those things. But, there are other things that I can't become Warren Buffett. It's not possible. I don't have, I don't have his strengths, and I don't, I may have one or two of them, but I don't have his overall strengths, and I certainly don't have all of his overall weaknesses. So I need to go and look at what Warren Buffett does, and study the man, and say, what did he do that made him a great trader? Or look at, George Soros, who made so much money and when he almost collapsed the Bank of England. Okay, what made him be able to see what was going on? What can I take advantage of? And be able to go and use that in my trading. Other things that can be used, maybe there are, maybe there aren't. But I can't go and become that person, because that's going to be a guaranteed failure. I am me. I'm not somebody else. So I think that hopefully that answers your questions there.
Yeah, it reminds me of a Bruce Lee quote, something along the lines of, adapt what is useful, throw away the rest, and add what's uniquely your own. Something to that effect.
Right, exactly. I would agree with that 100%. That's trading, and it's funny because why does it take so long for traders to become profitable? I think that the first thing is that we all tried to go. We see that guy over there across the street, with his especially here on YouTube as of late, with his shiny brand new Lambo, or two Lambos or three Lambos. Okay, what is he doing? I'm going to do what he's doing. Well, guess what? If you do what he's doing, you're probably going to fail, because you're not going to do it exactly the way he's doing it, because you're not him. But at the same time, you can look at him and say, what is he doing that I can go and incorporate into what I do successfully? What things are compatible with what I do? And that can go and turn you into a trader who may have a Lambo or something like that. If that's what your ultimate goal is in life, maybe that can do that. But at the same time, you can't become Joe Lambo. You can't become that guy.
Yeah, and there seems to be a lot of these, I guess it's about every, 10 years or so, a new crop springs up. These guys.
Yeah, it's funny because there was a guy that I was following for a while. I know we don't have much time left, but there was a guy that I was following in my beginning of my trading career that I thought was, greatest thing since sliced bread, and started following him, and I learned a lot of things from him. I'm not going to take that from him, but I couldn't become him, and I couldn't do what he was doing. I sat there in a trading room with him and watched him do it, and he was making money. He was not wrong. He was making money doing it, but I couldn't make the money he was making, because for whatever reason I just couldn't follow it. And it's funny that you say that they pop up. Well, he fell off the face of the map for a while, and all of a sudden this weekend I ran into a video that he had just recently done, and it's funny, it was the same old stuff that he had put out there back in the back in the late 80s, early
Yeah,
90s.
and you know what? Yeah,
Repackaging it.
yeah, yeah, because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and trade the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.